Beers with Chad. Hey everybody, what's up? Another episode of Beers with Chad, I think number 12. This afternoon I'm drinking Hopulent by Epic Brewing Company, 8.1% IPA. I know you guys are hating on me always with the IPAs, so maybe someday I'll change it up. And this is a limited edition from their Elevated series. I think it's supposed to be just a couple thousand bottles of it made, so not that limited edition, but cheers. So this week we had Joel Smith on the regular episode of the Jug Life that came out yesterday, and Joel is a strengthening edition, or sorry, we had Yasha Fay on this week, and Yasha Fay is a weightlifting coach up in Northern California. Was a very, very accomplished junior lifter. Competed and trained with Max back in the day, and maybe most interesting in regards to our conversation with him is his role as a USAW board member, and that kind of gave Yasha maybe some insights to the goings on and changes in USAW over the last few years. Some of the changes going on in the IWF. So make sure you go and check out that episode with Yasha Fay. We're at his gym, Marin Heavy Athletics, up in beautiful Marin County, California, and kind of change it up with the format. We're there for the training camp, and honestly, it wasn't our plan to change the format. We were just running a bit late getting out there. So we kind of did it on the fly as Max and Yasha were coaching lifters through the day. So we talk lifting, we coach some lifting, and just have a good time with him. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. This week's episodes of the Jug Life and Beers with Chad, a bonus episode to the Jug Life, is brought to you by Simple Contacts. You can visit simplecontacts.com/juglife or use code JUGLIFE for $30 off your order, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you to get your contacts. Contrary to some people's belief, I actually do not wear contacts. These baby blues are all natural. Maybe I should talk to Simple Contacts and they can start doing like a CWS edition colored contact. Might be a hit out there, who knows. And so check that out to support the show. What I want to talk about today is something I got asked about a few times last night. I did a Q&A here on Instagram, and the question was, what is my biggest regret, or what is something that I would change in my powerlifting career? So, I haven't competed in about a year and a half now, not to say that I won't ever compete again, but this, kind of taking some time off from competing, or if you've watched a YouTube video we have called Totally Raw and Enjoying Training, my biggest regret or biggest mistake that I look back on having made, and something I would encourage people to take heed of, is the value of the very off season. And by very off season, I mean most people think an off season from powerlifting is hypertrophy, and I'm all for phasic training, and I'm all for specificity and that stuff, and we talked till we're blue in the face about that on the podcast and on YouTube and all these places. So when I'm talking about the very off season, I'm talking about time in between serious training cycles, time off, fun training, and of course all the training. It's nice to say that all the training you would do should be fun, and you should enjoy all these aspects of powerlifting and stuff. But to be honest, there's a lot of times when it's not fun, and I think the higher level you get to, maybe there's even less time where it's fun, because there's more pressure, there's more expectation, the weights are heavier, everything hurts more, and it becomes monotonous. Good training, scientifically sound training that's written along with the ideas and scientific principles of strength training and all that good stuff, tends to be fairly redundant and very, very monotonous. And this is something Marissa and I have talked about a lot of times, you know, in regards to discussing some online coaching clients and their expectations of things sometimes, is that getting really strong and getting really good at powerlifting involves a lot of very redundant, repetitive work. It doesn't always get to be new, and it doesn't always get to be fun. And people who look for the always new and always fun training probably aren't going to be very successful. But there is a time in the grand scheme of training and doing this for the long haul where you will definitely benefit, and I would have definitely benefited to take some of my own advice and look at, you know, doing more general training, more fun training. And that's what I've been doing the last several months, doing jiu-jitsu and you know, doing some hill sprints and sleds and jumps and all that kind of stuff. And as I look at my powerlifting career, particularly the last, I mean, honestly, really over the whole thing, is that I came from track and field. I was a shot putter in college. I was a shot putter as a post-collegiate. I came to track and field and began powerlifting and did 4 meets in the span of 4 meets in a year, 4 meets in 15 months about. And in those, you know, I had a lot of success and I got very good very quickly. I squatted 905 pounds, 411 kilos in my third powerlifting meet, which at the time was the 140 kilo class American record. And then I did that third meet where I squatted the 905, and right away I turned around and tried to do another meet, and I wasn't all the way healthy, and it wasn't anything wrong with the training or anything like that, and it wasn't an injury per se. I hurt. I didn't have an injury. If you kind of understand the distinction that I'm making there. But I felt this big momentum and all this excitement from having this big squat, though I didn't have a great rest of the meet necessarily. I only made 1 bench and only made 1 deadlift. I think I totaled 21.25 or something like that. My PR was 21.65. So I knew that because I'd had this great training cycle and this huge improvement in the squat, it's like there's so much more right there. I need to go get that more, you know, more kilos, more pounds right away. So I had this sort of hip pain, you know, injury or whatever coming out of the meet, and I overlooked that and just, all right, I'm gonna turn around and do another meet in 12 weeks or 14 weeks or something like that. And it really led to a very frustrating training cycle where I was never 100% healthy. I wasn't able to squat the same. My lifts were all negatively affected. And then the only bomb out of a meet I'd had, and this would have been 2011 USPA Nationals, or maybe even 2011 IPL Worlds. The USPA was very new at the time, and I missed 2 squats at 825, and then I just left. I was like, this is obviously not going to be a good day. I didn't leave, and probably I stormed out. To be honest, I stormed out of it. So apologies to Steve Dennison and the guys there. I'm glad they've let me back since. But the meet was in Vegas, and there was more fun things to do in Vegas than lift shitty at a powerlifting meet. And there was a lot of stuff going on with the business and all that at the time, and there was just a lot of stress. And from that, I was like, that was a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, I don't want to do powerlifting. Like, I got to focus on work. I got to make sure, Juggernaut is growing and all this stuff. So I took a step back, and I took 3 months of time, kind of doing more track and field based training, which was my background, doing box jumps and some sprints and kind of whatever sounded fun that day, and only training 2-3 days a week, and was coaching a lot. And then I saw an ad for California's Strongest Man, 2012 California's Strongest Man, and it was like a week away. So I emailed the organizer for it and said, hey, can I sign up and do this? Mind you, I'd never done strongman. So a week out, 8 days out, something like that, I sign up, I go, it's pouring rain, some of the worst weather I've ever seen here in Orange County, and I do it, and I had a lot of fun. And that time off, you know, that fun, unorganized, whatever sounds good for the day training allowed me to kind of, you know, recharge my batteries, get hungry again for hard training. And then I entered into that with strongman. You know, did that first contest in March 2012, did another one in April 2012, another one in July, and then finally won my pro card by winning nationals in November, early November 2012. And then I did a pro show, and then I did a powerlifting meet, and I did another strongman contest and another powerlifting meet, back and forth, with the Arnold animal cage mixed in that. 4 competitions plus the animal cage in the first 5 months of 2013, and then boom, hurt my back. 2 herniated discs. You know, in hindsight, I wonder why. If I was doing a powerlifting meet or a strongman contest, very heavy strongman contest, every single month, it's going to be pretty tough to sustain that. So now I'm forced into some time off, some time really laying low, rehabbing the back, and then as I start to ramp back up into things, it's the fun training. It's whatever I wanted to do that day, because I didn't have anything, you know, serious to prepare for. So some days I would do, you know, CrossFit type of things. I'd do thrusters, or I'd do a short kind of Metcon, or get on the rower. That's why I rode the 114.4 500 meters, which is 0.7 seconds off the world record. And I'd do some powerlifting stuff, and I'd do some weightlifting stuff, and whatever sounded fun. And then I came back and I did a powerlifting meet, 22:48 total, 1,020 kilos, I think. Yeah, I'm pumped. Yeah, that's June 2014. I'm back. Then I go August 2014, 1,050 kilos, or 1,050 kilos, 23:14 over at GPA Worlds in Australia. Boom, I'm killing it. I'm doing great. I take a couple months. I do another meet, 22:26 in sleeves. You know, then a couple months later, another meet. I make my PR total, 1,055 kilos in Australia. I did that on 5 for 8 lifting. And with that 5 for 8 performance, this super close miss at 450 kilo, 992 pound squat, where I'm 7/8 of the way up and then sort of lose my balance and have to take a step, and then hurt my shoulder a little bit in it, so I didn't bench to my abilities. I get that same feeling that I had after the meet where I squatted 905. I said there was some good things here. I made a PR total at the time. I think it was the ninth heaviest total of all time in reps. I said there's a lot more. It's right there. I need to go get it. I need to go get those kilos that I left on the platform as soon as I can. So we're talking November, or maybe very late October, 1st of November 2015. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to turn around and do LA Fit Expo 10 weeks later. I have a couple good weeks of hard training, you know, 3 good weeks of hard training maybe, and then, you know, the shoulder starts to hurt, and the hip starts to hurt, and the knee starts to hurt, whatever it is, and it leads to like 3 weeks of good training, then 3 weeks of shit training where I feel all beat up, and then I'm like, you know, fuck this, I can't do it. I'm not doing this meet. Like, I don't even want to train hard. I'm sick of this. So then I take, you know, then I take this time off, and that's where the video that you can watch on our YouTube, totally raw and enjoying training. I'm doing hill sprints and box jumps and weightlifting and strongman and whatever sounds fun. And I do that from about February to July of 2015, and then I feel all right. I'm hungry again. I feel good. I feel healthy. Let's do a powerlifting meet. Ramp up, ramp up, ramp up. Big dogs. The best training cycle of my life. 425 kilo squat in sleeves in training, which was like a 25, 30 kilo training PR. 260 kilo bench, a lot of great stuff. I go to Big Dogs. Well, fast forward 2 weeks before Big Dogs, I'm lifting in Atlanta. I had my last heavy squat. We're in Atlanta for USAPL Nationals. I'm not feeling great. I don't know if the travel, whatever it is. I missed the squat, and the problem with this was, as so many of these injuries come about, was my ego. because there's all these people, who are in town for the meet, and they're at this gym watching, and oh my God, it's Chad Wesley Smith. Can I take an Instagram picture with you? And I let that get in my head. You gotta do something cool so those people see you and think that you're cool because you can lift a bunch of pieces of metal. So I take a heavy back down set in sleeves, and I'm about 2 inches out of the hole on the way up, 400 some kilos, 405 kilos, and I just feel I have about 10 pops in my right quad, and the spotters grab me, thankfully, and the quad gets hurt. And anyways, I do some rehab and I go to big dogs with that, and I don't lift as well as I could. I still totaled, I think, 2280, like 1,035 kilos, and won some money and got third place there. But that was on like 4 for 8, 4 for 9. So I'd had this incredible training cycle, hit all these big PRs. It kind of got thrown away in this last heavy squat session. This stupid ego-driven decision to take to take one more set when I knew that I should have shut it down, but I didn't. So what did I do? I thought, there's so many more kilos right there. I need to go and get them. I need to go get them as soon as I can. All right, 10 weeks later, let's do LA Fit Expo. The same fucking thing as I did the year before. Not a bad meet, 2280. No one's mad about 2280. No one should have been mad about 2325 the year before. But I knew that there was more there, and I tried to go and get it right away. And then the same thing happened again. Couple weeks of good training. Couple weeks of feeling really beat up and run down. Couple weeks of fuck this, I don't want to lift heavy again. Like I don't want to do powerlifting meets anymore. I'm sick of this. Marissa will make fun of me because she'll say that I probably said that 4 meets in a row were going to be my last meet ever, and then I kept doing another one. So maybe I'm in that same process again right now of fun, whatever sounds good, different type of training. And that's what I want to encourage you towards, because now in hindsight, if I would have looked back and just taken, rather than a week or 2 later trying to turn right back around and have this and right back into hard meat training, and then having what ended up being a 3 to 6 month, 4 to 8 month process of some good training, some beat up shitty training, some frustration and probably no training during that time, and then some fun, whatever I feel like, let's just get out and be athletic and do what sounds interesting for the day type of training. If I would have proactively said, all right, I did the meet, I could have done this better, I could have done that better, let me take 6 weeks right now and just have fun, let myself get healthy, build up some work capacity, build up some general qualities, and then ramp up into the next meet. I could have taken that maybe 6-month process and condensed it down into about 6 weeks, gone on to have another really successful meet where I enjoyed the training, where, one thing I definitely enjoy about training, one thing that everyone enjoys about training, even when it's getting grueling, is hitting PRs. So if I could have taken that time and then gone and had another good training cycle, which would have made it much more likely, I could have hit some PRs and had fun and done another meet and maybe hit that big total that I was chasing, and then taken 6-8 weeks of fun, fuck around, whatever feels good training, whatever sounds interesting, and then done it again. And ended up doing maybe 2 meets a year instead of 1 meet a year, with a bunch of frustrations and all this shit in between. So what can the fun, fuck around, let me do what sounds interesting kind of training, what can that be, and still make it useful in some degree without having to be so strict and focused and specific and everything. So I'm gonna take a sip. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not my favorite one that I've had on here, but it's pretty good. Again, that's Epic Brewing Hopulent IPA 8.1% from their Elevated Limited Edition series. So some things that I really enjoy in in this very off-season type of stuff that can actually, positively contribute towards what you're doing for powerlifting. Farmers walks. Farmers walks are a great one. They're low, they're relatively low stress if you're not going super heavy. They're going to build up some grip strength. They're going to maybe fix some midline stability issues, maybe fix some unilateral stability, hip shift type of issues. You can load them strategically to allow you to improve work capacity from week to week. Really simple way that I like to do that with farmers walks is an EMOM, every minute on the minute. So we would maybe do the first week a 6-minute EMOM, the second week an 8-minute EMOM, the third week a 10-minute EMOM. You could do those all at the same weight. Nothing crazy, nothing that you have to worry about that you're going to be, can I make it that distance with no drops? Maybe on the last set, the last rep of the EMOM, you might be thinking that. But for the most part, you should be moving pretty well, challenging yourself, but not maxing out. That's not necessarily what this time is about. So the EMOMs on the farmer's walk, great. EMOM of front carry type of stuff, keg, sandbag, anything like that, that's gonna be great too, while also improving your bracing. If you have some level of athleticism or background in weightlifting, or even if you don't, depending on your shoulder mobility and that kind of thing, snatching, muscle snatch, power snatch, whatever, that can be a fun one. EMOM is, again, a great way to address that. If you have training partners with you, you could do a little complex type of thing that I've done from time to time, because I could pull so much heavier than I could actually snatch, where I would have like 100 kilos on the bar, or 140 kilos on the bar with the 20 kilos outside the collars, and I would do like 2 or 3 high pulls with 140 kilos, and then I'd drop it, have training partners pull those weights off, those 20 kilos from each side, and then they would do I'd do a full snatch with that, Hey boo. Mariu, your question about what book for that 100 a female squatting 185, check out Marissa Enda's book, Fuerza, A Female's Guide to Strength and Physique. But so snatching or muscle snatches, that's a good way to do it too. Just a simple strategy. EMOM's a good one, whether it's like, if you're doing pull, snatch, or 3 snatches or something, 6-minute EMOM, 8-minute EMOM, 10-minute EMOM, very simple, or 8, 10, 12, whatever it may be. Rowing, on the Concept 2 type of rower, it can be a little bit stressful to the low back if you were doing a ton of volume of it, but in general, that's like a fun big person cardio. You're not going to beat up your knees or your ankles too much. You can rip on it pretty good. Like I said, I rode a 114.4 500 meters. Come at me, bro. See if anyone can keep up with that. But 0.7 seconds off the world record at the time that I did it. People have gone crazy fast now, but that can be a fun one, or a ski erg if you have access to that kind of thing. Airdyne assault bike type of stuff is rough, but it's just a fun change of pace. Any kind of strongman circuits you want to do, front carry, farmer's walk. The yoke, I always felt a little bit more beat up by the yoke. Tire flips can be a good one. More bodybuilding type of stuff. If my man Mankini, Jared Feather, is watching, he always gets mad when I say, well, what's bodybuilding training? You mean hypertrophy? And yeah, but you all know what I mean by bodybuilding training. I'm talking about more metabolite type of set schemes, whether it's supersets or drop sets or clusters, giant set, all that kind of stuff. It's just a fun change of pace, and it doesn't have to be every week. You can kind of just keep the same movement in for a couple weeks, and every other week, really push on a metabolite set, or on a third week, do the training that you don't often do. Go and do something new that you haven't done before. Maybe you go in and do jujitsu like I've been doing, or you You know, just sign up for a month at a CrossFit box or whatever it is. Just do something different, challenge yourself, go outside your comfort zone, and I think it'll really pay you benefits in the long run. So, you know, even though we have all this information about specificity and scientific principles of strength training and all this type of stuff, that's great, and that's the most important thing to success. But putting in some very off-season type of work, a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or something like that, in between meets, if you're feeling run down, if you're feeling stale mentally and not passionate about what you're doing, put it in there. It's a good change in the long run. You know, a month of non-specific training in the long run over a 5 or 10 or 20 year lifting career, a couple months here and there, you know, ain't gonna mean shit. So keep that in mind. Have fun, enjoy what you're doing, and you know, again, in regards to length, it's going to depend on how run down you feel. You know, I think if you strategically plan these ahead of time, probably a month is a good time frame for it. If you have to reactively do them the way that I have, it's taken me more like 3, 4, 5 months to do these and feel hungry for hard training again. So that's, you know, my opinion on the value of the very off season. The thing of the week, which the thing of the week is my favorite, you know, something from pop culture or other sports, you know, books, TV shows, movies, whatever it is. Something that music that I've enjoyed that week is Cobra Kai. YouTube Red series. Cobra Kai is a extension of the Karate Kid universe. It is very, very entertaining. We binged the whole thing pretty much last Friday night. Exciting stuff, you know. I almost made it through the whole thing. I fall asleep, so I had to watch the last 2 or 2.5 episodes the next morning. But it's very well done. It's tongue-in-cheek look at the you know, the kind of Karate Kid world with Daniel-san and Johnny Lawrence all grown up, and a bit of role reversal and some interesting dynamics. So go check that out on YouTube Red, Cobra Kai. Let me know what you think. I enjoyed it very much. If you love the Jug Life, and hopefully you do, go on iTunes, give us a 5-star review, like JBlank72, who said the Jug Life has it all. Excellent audio and video quality, thanks to our man Shorty Sedan, combined with unmatched charm and wit. Well, JBlank72, thank you very much. You can find the Jug Life on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and thejuglife.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you know, I used to say 3 videos a week. Now it's more like 4, maybe sometimes 5 videos a week. Just put up our first in the Strength History Minute series, which you may have seen before on our Facebook or Instagram, but wanted to make sure that the YouTube folks are seeing those as well. Also brewing some ideas for a bit more than just a Strength History Minute, but more like a Strength History, you know, 20 to 30 minute kind of mini documentaries about some ideas. So be on the lookout for those later in the year. If you want coaching for powerlifting, weightlifting, strongman, super total, or power building, check out juggernautcoaching.com, and we have a bunch of different options there, so go ahead and check that out. And upcoming events. June 9th, I will be at Dynasty Gym in Vancouver, Canada, doing our full day powerlifting clinic. That's coaching technique for the squat, bench, and deadlift, as well as lecture about program design, exercise selection, and Q&A. So that's June 9th in Vancouver, Canada at Dynasty Gym. Then June 22nd, we'll be at Arlington Strength, Max and I, for Arlington Strength in Arlington, Texas, for a Jug Life Live. So we're going to do a free squat clinic for about an hour and a half, and then roll that into the Jug Life Live, where we'll talk some about programming for the squat and you know, how to address these different issues, as well as take your Q&A, and we'll drink some beers and hang out, and it's a good time. Then the next day, June 23rd, we'll be at D-Town CrossFit in the Big D, Dallas, Texas, doing the same kind of thing, but a snatch clinic right into the Jug Life Live there. So go find those under the events section at store.jtsstrength.com. Make sure to listen to this week's episode of the Jug Life featuring weightlifting coach and USAW board member Yasha Fay. Check that out. It's a good episode with, again, a bit of a different format. Let me know how you like that. Watch the Strength History Minute. Do all that stuff. Subscribe, review, everything. Thank you very much. This was another episode of Beers with Chad, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.